Hey guys, welcome back to Building a Better Sandbox. So this is Project Babylon, my as yet unnamed campaign world. Thank you for joining me once more. So tonight is probably going to be a lot of chopping up the Stars Without Number faction system, so I can't say it'll be terribly exciting. But if you are in the audience, or perhaps you're a viewer on YouTube, you can certainly leave me your thoughts in comments or in the chat, and we'll figure this thing out. So, quick note: this is Stars Without Numbers right here. You can get the free version of this book if you'd like to follow along. It only has a couple things missing from the full line. We're going with factions, however. Oops. Too many. 112. Okay. So, first, I need to figure out what factions I have in this world. So, the easiest way to do that would be just to look at the map. Obviously, I think the Mage Tower in this particular settlement is going to be one. So, let's come up with a name for that. Faction name. Now, it's not just mages, it's also clerics, druids, and sorcerers. So, I think it'll just be called the Academy. I mean, there are many academies throughout the world, but this is the Academy. We'll leave it at that for now. I think a sub-faction, like a very small, is going to be the sorcerers of that particular academy. And they're going to be called the Order of the Dragon Slayers. So this is the dean of the sorcerers is like a paladin, sorcerer, draconic, dragon disciple. And he is a draconologist who studies dragons. He knows everything about them. It's been a while since dragons have been seen in this world. And his job, or what he sees his job as, is gathering material and personnel and support of any kind to preparing for the next big dragon threat. And so he's like the public face of the academy. He's super popular. Everybody loves him. He's charmingly handsome, but he's fighting against nothing. You know, he gives like motivational seminars, like you can be a sorcerer too. You can grow up to be a wizard. All you have to do is study hard. Dragons are real. Let's go fight. And when it gets to the dragons are real thing, everyone's like, eh. You know, they keep cheering because they love this guy. But yeah, so Order of the Dragon Slayers is going to be one. And I think what their big thing is going to be an intelligence network. They're going to be an intelligence network mostly, trying to discover what's happening in the world. I think both the Bandit Kingdom, and the people who live there are probably going to be two different factions. So, I still haven't come up with a name for the Robber Baron, so we're just going to call it the Robber Baron and his mercenaries. They're going to be a major military force. That's what they do. They're occupying the city, this small city. They're holding it by force, and through cunning, they're holding off the advance of the larger settlement in the northeast. They're like sending operatives up there, they're sending money up there, they're doing whatever it takes to influence the nobles. Then we've got these people, they have all the wealth. The people are the ones working the land. And so I'm just going to call them, I want to call them the people of the land. Until we get a name for that city, we will call them the people of the land. And, yeah. they are going to be they're going to be, again, a small-sized faction. Most of their stuff goes into wealth. Their lowest stat's going to be force. And then up here, we're going to have two different factions. We're going to have the capital city, which is going to be a very, like sprawling, like more than a dozen miles wide city. That's just like a bastion of civilization and trade, technology, but they don't really have that much magic. And they rely heavily on nobility. And then up north, we have the fortress city, which is... So I'm thinking, this big super capital, right? There are numerous noble houses. Each of them builds their own, like, small Mott and Bailey keep or castle, and they build it to the north of the city. And there used to be all of these fights between nobility, and they'd have, like, attacks going between these castles. And finally, like, some young nobles got fed up with it, and the people were tired of dying in these conflicts. And so they formed, like, a second army. So each of the nobles has their own army, and together it's like the collective army of the city. And now there's this, like, policing force of the people of the city who make up a second, less well-armed, like literally a militia. They're less well-armed. They're not led by nobility. It's more of a meritocracy and less educated. But they have, like, these huge fortresses between the noble ones, and they, like, keep an eye out for nobles' activity. But more importantly, I mean, it's just a gigantic army that basically resides there. Yeah, like several thousand people. So we're going to have the Northeast nobility. And fortress cities. So there's going to be multiple small fortresses. And again, the Northeast nobility is probably going to be the only large-sized faction. And that's going to be a small-sized military faction. So that's what we got going on there. We have the secret city that's located right here. I think that I want them to be like Morlocks. I want it to be, if you've read World War Z, North Korea has this thing where they build all these tunnels beneath the earth. And they hide themselves there, and that's it. Like, no one's seen North Korea since then. And I think that I want to have something like that. Like, there was a settlement here. In some time of danger, they all fled beneath the earth and just started carving stuff out. And their leadership was like, you can never go back to the surface. It's unsafe. It's terrifying out there. No life can be supported. We're going to have to stay down here. And every generation has perpetuated this myth. And now they're Morlocks. Yeah. So like several generations. So they are going to be the Morlock faction. Oops. Spelling like a Morlock. And finally, we've got the bandits of the Northwest. So we've got like the Uplanders. And these are people that have fought the Academy in its town for some unknown reason. They've got beef together. And yeah, the Uplanders are kind of like rebelling. They've allied themselves with monsters in the area. They live very poor lives economically. Morlock. Yeah, so poor economically, definitely. But they take the military and the tricks thing fairly well. They're very good at getting information and striking specific targets. Just my seat here. All right, so that is the start of these factions. Each of these factions is going to have at least 2 tags. So let's go ahead and look at that. Some of them, I'm going to go ahead and assign them a tag because it makes sense for their group. For instance, this tag, mercenary group, works perfectly for the robber baron's mercenary. So he's got the tag mercenary group. We should be able to get more than one, however. I might have to, where's this, insert, right. There we go. Let's think of what other tags will pre-assign groups. Planetary government. So again, I'm going to have to rewrite some of these to make sense within the fiction of Pathfinder and this world of Project Babylon. But planetary government is about being legitimate government, and rivals and rebels may be attempting to knock them out. And I think that works perfectly for the Northeast nobility. So they are going to be planetary government. Because they are a legitimate government. I think there's one called Psionic Academy, which will work out perfectly for... Yep, Psychic Academy. So this is for building your own psychics, which in Stars Without Numbers would be your magic users. Yeah, this is going to work out perfectly for the Academy. So we're going to tag them with Psychic Academy. Now, where was that chart that had the random rollings on it? You have to stick with me here for a little while. Oop-a-doo-doo-doo. Wow, that's pretty in-depth. That's not what I'm looking for. I apologize, guys. It has been a trying day, for sure. Alright. This might be it. Alright, so here's a chart. You roll a d6 and a d10. You put them together to figure out what your tags are. So each is going to have at least 2 tags. We can probably add more. If you think that a certain tag might apply to an organization, let me know. When I find players for this, we'll probably make more factions based off of what they'd like to see in the game, or add additional tags to factions that are already there. So let's get rolling. I'm just going to go ahead and roll out, like 4, and then we'll do... Alright, so the first one is 2 and 9. Let's figure that out. 2 and 9 is Gold Rush. Conventional metals are common and cheap. So rare resources, which makes pretty good sense for the Academy, right? It's next to this marsh that's got all these rare drugs. There's mineral fields in the mountains to the northwest. There's the lumber yards to the northeast. I mean, they are pulling in a lot of different sources of economy. So I see no conflict here adding Gold Rush. Oops. Is that only going to let me do it for the world tag? Let me see what the problem is. Uh-oh. All right. That's not actually going to work out for me. All right. So we're just going to need to do it manually. Okay. Machiavellian. Sounds like it's going to fit the Northeast nobility. And that kind of locks them in there as both a government and a noble faction. Let's think about the academy. I wonder if theocratic would work. Maybe secretive. Oh yeah, secretive would work perfectly. You know, it's so just the leadership of this academy has broken down so much. They hardly talk to each other. Um, the four different schools are kind of working against each other. And as the most powerful magic users in the area, they want to make sure that they stay that way, right? They don't want anybody coming in to mess up their stuff. So they are secretive. Order of the Dragon Slayers. Now these guys are going to be... they gather information. Preceptor Archive, I think, works great for them. They gather lost ancient information. They bring it back together. I think we'll probably make that their only tag because they're a small organization. Robber Baron. They're also kind of small. Mercenary group fits them anyway. People of the land, so these guys are hardworking. They've been here for a while. Oh, Scavenger seems pretty interesting. I don't know that it fits. Technical expertise. Now, obviously, the system isn't going to be a complete transfer over. Things like tech level probably are not going to exist in this universal fiction. So this is not going to be a completely transferable program hack from one mode of play, aka Stars Without Numbers, to Pathfinder. But it's interesting to see how this is turning out. Right, the fortress cities gotta be warlike. So they roll dog. I think Morlocks might be secretive as well. Yeah, Morlocks. And the Uplanders, they're pirates. They are attempting to disrupt the Mage Town. These are the two major factions in the area. All right. So, creating a faction. Now, you might be wondering, what is all of this? And I suppose I haven't explained it that well. The way Stars Without Numbers works is that there is a GM minigame that's played either at the end of an adventure for PCs if they complete like a story arc, or once a month in game time. You move these factions through their month-long turn. So, for instance, they'd buy something or move their assets around or begin an attack and gain experience through completing goals that they've set for themselves. And then you turn the events of the faction turn into in-game consequences. So, for instance, if one faction attacks another and it's open military warfare, maybe the PCs stumbled upon a battle, or maybe they hear about the battle and its consequences. Like, if one side attacks the other, they don't completely destroy the other side, but the unit that they attack is left at low health. You know, it's an overwhelming victory. The other side got routed. the units are in disarray, and that the militia is falling back to the fortresses to regroup. Minor factions should have a 4 in their most important attribute. So let's go through the minor factions. Dragon Slayers are going to be 4 in cunning, 3 in wealth. Did you take a -1? And then tertiary is 3 less. So their military force is pretty, they've got the number of sorcerers, but there's actually not that many sorcerers. And, a dozen sorcerers on hand is not enough to go to war with. I mean, you got to feed them. You got to keep them spell componented up. All it takes is one guy in the dark to, like, sneak into their rooms and stab all of them to death. They're not that versatile. So, let's figure out some of these other minor factions. These guys are force, wealth, low cunning. People of the land are high wealth, high cunning, low force. We'll come back to the nobility. These guys are high force, high cunning, but they can barely support themselves. The Morlocks are gotta be 4, 3, and 1. Interesting how this is turning out. And the other one as well. Okay, so the Academy is going to be a 2nd level faction. They are going to start with 6 in cunning, a 5 in wealth, and a 3 in force. They're actually capable of mustering a pretty decent-sized army. It's not great, but where they really, really are great at is moving stealthed assets across the board. They're just fantastic at getting these mages into cities invisible, into cities through the air, and just gathering information, stealth. They're druids, right? Okay, so let's just talk about druids for a second. They're basically eco-terrorists. They can fly into people's rooms, turn into a plant, choke that person to death, and then wait for everyone to show up in the morning and be like, oh my god, he's dead. Oh no, what should we do? And then you just, as you're in your plant form, just crawl down the side of the building and turn into a bird and fly away. That's it. Maybe you leave some pretty dank poison, drop some dank memes in their ear, and then you make an incredibly virulent poison, or you plague their castle, or any of the numerous horrifying things druids can do. So they rely pretty heavily on their kind of druid/wizard combination to get things moved around and get them done. But it being a trade town, they also have a lot of money. Quite a bit. The Northeast nobility, given that they control at least 3 settlements, is going to be a regional. And their major is going to be wealth. Yeah, totally. What does that get them? They start with an 8 in wealth. Which gives them a 7 in force. Because they have all these extremely... I mean, it's not that they have huge armies. It's just that all the guys are the best trained mercenaries. They all are equipped with the best armor. They probably, like, squad leaders probably have, like, minor magical stuff. But more importantly, these are the guys that are buying, like, potions of heal to hand out to their troops. They're training their troops, so it's not just, like, people that eat gruel and do like 100 push-ups and then they go back out to like beat each other with sticks. This is like intense, horrifying training that only someone of great wealth and power can provide. All right, I think that kind of locks them in place. So let's figure out Homeworld. Homeworld is actually going to end up being what settlement they're from. So this is Magetown, because we don't have a name for it yet. The Robber Barons are from Clockwork Town. And these guys are from Clockwork Town as well. Northeast nobility are from the capital. These guys are from the capital. These guys are from underground. And the uplanders are from the northern mountains. Let's look at goals. Goals. I'm like sick as a dog right now, guys. So sorry if I'm like coughing up a storm here and practically falling asleep. All right. The Academy. What do they want? I think that they want the Wealth of Worlds. Yeah, they wanna maintain what they have through money. Wealth of Worlds. Okay. Order of the Dragon Slayers. They're looking to expand their influence. So these guys don't really have any rivals. Yeah, they just wanna spread it around, and they want to get more people on their side. So they're looking to expand their influence. The Robber Baron. Now he needs to hold his people by force and keep the capital from attacking him. I think it might be destroy the foe. No, they don't want to wipe out the people of the land, right? I mean, they're literally sponging off the people of the land. Maybe commercial expansion. I don't know. This one's hard. Oh, inside enemy. No. They have terrible cunning. This is hard. I'm going to go with commercial expansion. And what that's going to represent is the Robber Baron destroying the people of the lands, like whatever they've built up. So the way commercial expansion works is you have to destroy a number of wealth assets of rival factions equal to your faction's wealth rating. So what's going to happen is the people of the land are going to keep like making harvesters. They're going to keep trying to build up enough money to and purchase enough mercenaries to get this Robber Baron and his mercenary thugs out of town, drive them away. And the Robber Baron doesn't go after the people directly; he just goes after the money because he's smart. Okay. People of the land, their job is probably military conquests, or it might be seize the planet. Yeah, it's going to be planetary seizure. They need to take their city back. The Northeast nobility. I think they are looking to do, for now, a peaceable kingdom. They're not looking to do anything in particular. They already control everything that they need to. The fortress city, however, is looking. Let's say they're trying to justify what they have to do. So they need to do military conquest. They have to find rebels. They have to find the Robber Baron in the south. You know, they're trying to reabsorb that southern city, even if the nobility is too locked up in getting bribes from him to do it. The militia is going to go down there and try to take care of it. And they also got to stop the Morlock attacks because they're being secretly attacked by the Morlocks. Maybe someone's pointing out, hey, there's a lot more dead people in the streets than normal. Okay, the Morlocks intelligence coup. They want to destroy anyone capable of finding them. And the Uplanders want to destroy the foe. They need to take out the Academy and reclaim their land. So, I'll just keep. I'm gonna keep those things there, but I am gonna list the rival factions. So their rival faction are the Uplanders. Their lesser rival faction is gonna be the Order of the Dragon Slayers. No, I mean they're kind of united. So the Northeast nobility. They need to keep the Northeast nobility from encroaching on their land. The Dragon Slayers actually don't have any rivals. They're trying to keep tabs on everything. They're trying to expand, but they are not. They don't really care about the petty conflicts of the day-to-day people here. The Robber Baron. Well, obviously, they're rivals. Are the people of the land and the Northeast nobility. They kind of discount the fortress cities, but they are also an issue. People of the land have only one problem. Well, they actually have a lot of problems, right? Anyone, if they take out the Robber Baron, they have to defend their land from pretty much every other major faction coming and trying to take it over. But for now, all they're concentrating on is the Robber Baron, not the Ruber Baron. So they have the Academy, and they have the Robber Baron. Well, I guess it's basically just the Academy, right? Fortress cities. They don't know the Morlocks exist, but they need to hold off the Uplanders, and they need to take out the Robber Baron. I don't know what I'm doing with the Ruber Barons. Morlocks. They want to kill everyone. And the Uplanders are enemies of the Academy. Alright, so we got that down. Now, let's see here. None of them have anything there. Asset tables. So these are the various assets we can purchase, and we're going to have to do that right now. We're probably going to change the assets' names. To more closely match this world. So security personnel are just going to be mercenary. There's already something called mercenaries. We will call them thugs. Hitmen are going to be hired blades. I think militia unit can stay the same, and a base of influence is a special thing. So, as you can see, base of influence are required for purchasing or upgrading units on a particular world, in this case, in a particular settlement. So, you put a base of influence into somebody else's settlement so that you can buy stuff there. So, heavy drop assets is probably going to instead be called wagon train. Elite skirmishers can say the same. Hardened personnel. I think that can say the same. So can guerrilla populace. Zealot sounds good. Cunning trap. Counterintelligence unit. I don't know about that one. We'll leave it for now. Beachhead landers. Short range, high capacity ships capable of moving a large number of troops. As an action, it may move any number of assets on a planet. Put yourself within 1 hex at a cost. We're going to have to mess around with hex lengths as well, because in Stars Without Numbers, there's a bit. Bit different, although I guess the map is almost the same size. I don't know what to call this. I think we might just call it like Army. Army wagon, Army movement. We'll keep Beachheadlanders for now until I get an idea. Extended theater. What is this? Transport of assets long distances. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to come up with different names for these things. Strike Fleet. So this is a light siege unit. Post-Tech Infantry is House Guards. A blockade fleet is just a blockade. This is really high level. So this is highly trained infantry. Oh no, let's go with heavy infantry. Psychic assassins, of course, become mage squad. This is probably going to become noble infantry. Planetary defenses just become settlement defenses. I think, oh, we're going to have to go up to at least 7. Grav tank formation is probably going to be a cavalry unit. Integrated protocols. So this is going to be defensive mage. We'll put clerical assist. No, divine assistance. I like that. So this is like asking your god for help. What would you call the highest level ground troops in fantasy times? Oops, that was a mistake. We're going to leave it Space Marines for now. Although, if any of you have an idea, we will do that. Smuggler sounds great. Informers, false front, those all stay the same. All these sound good. Cyber ninjas are going to become... So these are probably going to be a great mage unit, right? This is what the Academy is probably going to use a lot of, so I think Cyber Ninjas is going to be called Druid Squadron. Stealth, covert shipping. No reason to change that. Party machine, Vanguard cadres. Yep. Those all work. Franchise, harvesters, raider contract. I'm good with what most of these names are, so let's work into buying. How many do these factions start with? We gotta go back to creating a faction. Uh-oh. I think I got lost. Faction tags, creating a faction. Major powers get one. Minor powers get 1 asset in their primary and 1 in a different. Major powers get 2 primary and 2 in different. Regionals get 4 primary and 4 in others. So we're going to start with the big guy. The Northeast Nobility. Their major is wealth. So they get 4. One, 2, 4 wealth, and then they get 4 other. The person who made this sheet, by the way, is an incredible genius. Okay, so I think we're going to do 2 wealth. No, we do 4 wealth, so... And they can get what? They can start with an 8 asset, so they could start with the scavenger fleet. I don't think they will. Those sound weird. They're not really about transfer. Taking over. I think hostile takeover is going to be one. So this will represent like the typical scheming nobles. When something gets low on health, they move in and take it over. Clerical assistance. Sounds like you need help filing. Oh, how did I miss that one? Divine intervention it shall be then. All right. Some more wealth assets. We're probably going to go with less powerful wealth. Mercenaries is like almost... yeah, probably just 2 mercenaries. Real quick. To represent the diverse array of mercenaries these guys have on hand. And 1 more wealth, because we don't want them to be too powerful. Otherwise, they'd have already taken over the area. What does local investments do? Oh, I like that. So local investments lets them make it more difficult for people to move in. Good greetings, morbid fascination. That looks like the emote. In fact, I'm pretty sure that is. Local investments lets them keep people from putting units up in their base. Their bases instead belong to them. All right, so 7 force, and they get 2. Let's see here. They're going to have probably noble infantry and noble infantry. It's going to be that easy. Their towns are... Oh, did it not update the name? Shit. Okay, all right. So I'm going to have to look up on the list what noble infantry really is. I'm going to have to rename it in the opposite order. Where's the dang charts? Okay, wealth, cunning. Noble infantry is really retech infantry. Okay, so these guys have retech infantry, 2 of them. I'm going to have to take a look at this sheet and figure out how to lock in the renaming of things. Uh-oh. That looks like a problem. As easy as Dan dying in book 1. Alright, let's try that. And, okay, yeah, I'm going to have to change the names of everything I did back. That's fine, that's fine. Let's do changed name. So these are both noble infantry. That way I can keep track of what it is in the fiction. And by that I mean within the world that we're creating here. And now they get 2 cunning assets. They're pretty terrible at cunning. I mean, they're going to have 5 cunning, right? But they probably are super bad at it. I'm thinking they have lobbyists and informers, but let's check what those are before. What do informers do with them? Yeah, so informers let them kind of root out invisible units. So that works out great for them since they happen to know that that mage stuff, they all rely on that invisible unit stuffs. And lobbyists block governmental position. So lobbyists can stop people from purchasing expensive or specialized units inside the capital. Again, just like local investments and all that other stuff. It's great. It's exactly what they need. This is a highly defensive position for this faction. Okay, we're going to move on to the next big one, which is the Academy. And Academy are secretive. I think that means all of their units begin stealthed. So that's pretty cool for them. We'll work out exactly what that means at a later time, but they get 2 assets in their primary attribute, which is cunning, and then they'll get 1 wealth and 1 force. Okay, well, their force is definitely going to be defensive, so let's take a look at that. They could get a 3 force asset. It's going to be the best one they can get. So let's take 1d4 damage each time they will attack or counterattack. Their force versus force, which is not great for them. Their force is not very good. Cunning versus cunning, eh? Yeah, cunning works out pretty good for these guys, so let's go ahead and open up 4 academy slots. And then they have counter intel unit. I don't really know what this is, but this is going to be some sort of magey thing. Oh, we can call them diviners. Holy shit, yeah. Perfect for counterintelligence. Okay, and that's their force. They get 1 wealth asset. And it can be up to level 5. Monopoly sounds perfect. Let's check what that is. Monopoly. Because they do have a monopoly. Yeah. Force 1 faction with unstealth units to pay them 1 fat cred. Oh, they could use this against against the Order of the Dragon, right? So this could represent like the Mage's Tower or the Mage Town, like being something. They're like putting pressure on the Order of the Dragon Slayers to be like, okay, you sorcerers aren't really pulling your weight here. You know, you're not attending town council meetings. You're gathering these funds, but you're not doing anything with them. It's time to pay your dues. So monopoly is like how they enforce their will. Yeah. All right, and then they get 2 cunning. And they get up to a 6 in cunning. And now we want these to be ranging units. We want these to oh, demagogue immediately. Bam. Yep. So the demagogue is stealth demagogue. Popular ideology or faith. So this is going to be some sort of cleric, obviously. Yep. Undoubtedly. There might be 2 of these, and they just send them to each of the major settlements to just destroy intelligence units. Yeah. They're trying to win hearts and minds here. Alright. Now to go down the list of minor factions, we have the Order of the Dragon Slayers. And these minor factions get 1 in their primary and 1 in any. Alright. So, Order of the Dragon Slayers are cunning. And they get up to level 4. Cunning for Party Machine. Party Machine would be like them trying to take over Mage Town. Which is interesting. I don't know if I want to do that, though. Let's see here. Huh. So the Party Machine could basically block. What was it that the what was that thing that the nobles had, right? They had a monopoly. Let's look at that. Does it force them to pay one? Okay, so here's the thing. The monopoly is forcing the Order of the Dragon to pay one every turn. And then they have the Party Machine, and so they're getting one back. I think this is great. Like, they keep raising money to keep their organization alive. And the Mage Town is basically draining off them, and so they're just keeping this constant level of funding. And they're trying desperately to take whatever they can. So, Order of the Dragon Slayers is Party Machine. Now they need something afar that's useful to them, and they have a 3 wealth and a 1 force, and they need something that can deal cunning damage. So let's look at wealth, cunning versus wealth, lawyers. I think that might be it. Yeah, so they send out lawyers everywhere to try to convince people, here are these old documents saying you owe us allegiance to the Order of the Dragon. So it's like Dragon Age Origins. And the Grey Wardens, it's like, you owe us. We've got this stuff. You got to give us material. You got to provide us with men. And people are like, nah, not really. And you're like, shut the fuck up. All right. The Robber Baron. All right, so he gets 1 and 1. Obviously, his main is going to be force. So he gets a 4 force unit, and it's probably going to be a big one. He's not going small time. This is called house cards, but it's really post-tech infantry. And yeah, they're pretty good. So they're basically like standard troops that you might see in the field. So, he's got that. Oh no, not post-tech. We want post-tech infantry. There we go. We gotta change this back to infantry. Boom. These are called house guards. So this is like the Robber Baron's personal military force as the head of the nobility in Clockwork Town, because he is the mayor. Okay, and he also gets one other. And so it looks like some sort of wealth asset would be good for him, especially one that lets him do force versus something. Maybe post-tech industry might work out well for him. Let's see here. Lets them spend a cred and see if they get more back. I think that works out well because he's doing kind of the processing of not really drugs down there, but they're processing like metals from the mountains. They're doing the cotton. They're doing the rice. So yeah, post-tech industry. Right. Next faction on the chopping block is the people of the land. What was the robber baron's goal? Baron, just make sure. Yeah, commercial expansion. So that is destroying wealth assets. So he needs something that can hit wealth. Let's just make sure that he can do that. Yeah. I mean, he's attacking versus force. You just have to hit whoever he's hitting directly. And probably save up to buy a force versus wealth unit. Okay. So he's not in a great position to do what he needs to do to start with. But the force of the people of the land is 1. So he's great at holding them down. He's basically got his boot onto their face. Okay. People of the land, they are for wealth. Oh, that's right here. Shipping combine. We don't need them to ship stuff. Monopoly. No. Nope. Bank. Did they get something that allows them to attack? No. They have post-tech industry. I think these guys probably have post-tech industry too. And then they get another. And that is going to be either cunning or force. And they seem to be better off picking a cunning asset. Druid Squadron. No. Nope. That doesn't make sense for them. Seductress. Subvert leadership. Travel. Does no damage. That's Saboteurs is sounding great. So this is like the town's resistance right here. Yep. They put all their hopes in these Saboteurs. They're basically like Valkyria Chronicles, that first militia unit where they're like, we'll save the people! And then it ends up they just get their butts kicked. We already did Northeast Nobility. So now we're on the Fortress City. We did everybody else, right? Yep, Fortress. And they are going to get 1 force and then 1 other. And it's actually probably not going to be cunning. It's probably going to be a wealth. Because they are kind of trying to build up enough money to do what they need to do. They're not great at money. But they need the supplies. So, a Force 4 asset that allows them to do Force v Force. Post-tech infantry, you gotta go with the classic. What is this light siege? That might be one to do too. Yeah, light siege. So these are for, I mean, this is the unit that goes out and, oh, it's not called light siege unit, is it? That's right, I changed it. Light siege unit is really, scroll. Strike fleet. And that's how you know that's correct, because and that's really powerful if they hit. And their last one is going to be a Wealth 1 unit. Something that they can use to build up, and it's going to be Harvesters. What are Harvesters, you ask? I'm glad that you did. Harvesters allow you to make things, and if you get a 4+, you get more money. Boom. There we go. So we've got this military unit that's kind of good when it goes away from home, but once it's there, once it's gone, the home city isn't very well defended. But fortunately, the nobility has a ton of pre-tech infantry just sitting around and some mercenaries. They're pretty good at countering with those. Morlocks are up next. Morlocks begin all play stealth, and we need 1 cunning and 1 wealth unit. Let's take a look. Cunning for seditionists don't really make sense. Although maybe oh man, they do make perfect sense. So instead of seditionists, what would we call them? So these are like Morlocks who come up in the night and like mess up the supply trains for that strike fleet, aka the light siege unit. By the way, I need to write that down. Oh, the light siege unit. And as long as this Morlock saboteurs are attached to that unit of strike fleet, they're not able to move. They're not able to come out and find the Morlocks. Attach themselves until they... Yeah. So, I think what's going to happen pretty early on is the seditionists are going to attach themselves to the strike fleet for money, and then just start attacking it every round. And the only way that the other guys are going to be able to fight back is through... Oh, this is supposed to be seditionists. They're not going to be able to fight back at all. They're going to have to get somebody to come down with the cunning unit and destroy them. Especially if they somehow remain stealth in the process. There'll be stories of just like supplies going missing, like officers being killed in their sleep and stuff. Right, and they need a force asset to defend themselves with, and that's force level 3, and that's going to be zealots. These are like these Morlocks who've trained their entire lives for only one purpose. To defeat the surfacers. Okay, force 4 uplanders. Probably going to be strike fleet as well, because this needs to be attacking that city. They need to be fighting in the open as much as possible. Technically, so only starship units can move between settlements. All the military and special forces have to be moved. Someone has to move them using these landing units. So there isn't much moving around happening currently. There's not a lot doing transportation. And so I think what's going to happen is these units, these various factions are going to have to build themselves up to move units around, or to buy bases of influence around. And so they're all dealing with their local problems, and as gameplay begins, they'll slowly, like, it's like, yeah, it's basically like any adventure. You've got the wound up clock. And then as the clock goes down, you start this ticking time bomb of a war. There's definitely, like, the way things are put down, there's definitely going to be a war at some point. The only question is which faction ends up getting the force. I'm not going to say military force because you can definitely win wars with the Stars Without Numbers unit supplies without having military force. Obviously, like if these cunning attacks, for instance, the Order of the Dragon Slayers, if they use their party machine hard enough to do cunning versus cunning, they may end up just taking over the academy. Right? They're going to destroy the academy and take all of its units because they're going to end up running the academy. So, yeah. All of these things, all of these factions are preparing to do something. And the first faction to strike successfully, that's when this massive war is going to break out. All right, Uplanders get something. They get a cunning or a wealth unit, and it's got to be something pretty low level. Well, let's see here. What does the academy have? Not a lot of force. So if they could go cunning v force, that would work great. They can't match up in a cunning v cunning battle. What about wealth? Wealth. No, no, no. What about base of influence? No, I don't think that's going to work out. Let's look at cunning again. Try to find something. So they don't have anything that works great. Oh, maybe this, over shipping? No, they don't really need it because they got the strike fleet. What they could use is another... Yeah, I mean, smugglers are going to work out. So smugglers are another starship unit. Or as you might think of it, they're capable of moving independently. They attack cunning v wealth. So it's actually going to be a pretty losing battle for them. But they're the rebels, right? They're not really supposed to win. So I'm okay with this. And that kind of locks in all the factions here real quick. Yeah, we did it. We're going to take... It's been about an hour and a bit. So we're going to take like a 5-minute break here. And, well, actually, we might be done for the night, unfortunately. This is kind of all I had planned to do. Yeah, I think we are going to end here. Next time, we're going to do adventure seeding. We're going to talk about, now that we have these factions, we're going to put them into societies. We're going to name the settlements. We're going to build societies around them using the Stars Without Numbers society system. We're going to kind of give them ethnic backgrounds and probably develop unique languages. Like, I'm throwing out most of the languages in Pathfinder, and so Thieves Can't, I think, is probably going to be one. And then it might not be called Thieves Can't, though. It might just be called Trade Talk, Talk of the Trade. It might just, you know, I'm not totally certain yet. That's why we do these things. If you have an idea of a specific language, like, I think the nobility probably have their own way of speaking. You know, it might not be understandable to others around them. We'll figure it out, though. So we're going to do adventure seeds, society. Societies are going to lead to adventure seeds, and I'll show you how. Although, again, if you pick up Stars Without Numbers core rulebook, not the free version, you're going to have to get the full version. But such a great system, you might as well go in for it anyway, to be honest. I really enjoy Stars Without Numbers. If you want to see Stars Without Numbers in play, just going aside here, look up ItMeJP, so ITMEJP on Google, and go for Roleplay Swan Song. And they show not just the the gameplay of it, but they also, you can go to Adam Cobell. You'll get all the links watching the show and how to find his GM turn. So he's doing all the stuff I just did, and then you see the behind the scenes of how the combat between the factions plays out, and he discusses how in the news how things turn out. So when Union toughs fail an attack on somebody, it turns out that they're being busted. You know, like the Mandarinate is cracking down on Union toughs by offering them really great positions, and they're turning it down or something like that. Anyway, it works out really great. So I'm super unfocused tonight. Don't worry about it, guys. Societies lead to adventure seeds, and from there, we're going to create a few adventures that the players will encounter in this world. All right, that was a lot of babbling. I'm done for the night. Sorry for the short stream. We'll be back, I think, Wednesday. Let's look at the schedule. I have the game tomorrow night on Sunday. That's Plunder and Peril. I will be hosting a game on Monday night. That's going to be Roleplay Mirror Shades. So if you want to check that out, that's Shadowrun 1E. You can watch it on my channel. Tuesday I have Jade Regent, and Wednesday I am open. So Wednesday night, we're going to come back and we're going to do Societies and Adventure Seeds. So we will continue hacking up the Pathfinder and Stars Without Numbers systems then. Thank you for joining me. Leave anything you'd like in the comment sections below. And we just did Friday night the first episode of Worldwide Wrestling RPG. You can check out the playlist on my channel, my YouTube channel, underneath ongoing campaigns. I highly suggest you check it out. It was fantastic. Everybody loved it. And it's turning to be super interactive with the audience. The audience was suggesting matches, and we're voting on how those matches would turn out. And I think we really delivered there. If you're interested in being involved in a pro wrestling RPG, there you go. You can show up and watch live and suggest matches, or just leave a comment on the YouTube and say, I want to see Wolf versus Cowboy. All right, thanks, guys.